Hiya Neil, how are you doing? Alright, how are you doing? Nice to meet you.
Yeah, good. Yeah, terrible.
So the purpose of today is to get to know a bit about your business, what challenges you face, and maybe try to help you think through. I think I said at the thing, people like me don't know more than anybody else. I just see more. I just go into hundreds of businesses, so by definition you see things at work, and good practice and bad practice. So and you see patterns in really successful businesses. There are some patterns, or a real challenge to Echo is it's a successful business, and that Neil's a real entrepreneur. So taking those two things separately for a minute, a really successful business tends not to change because there's no need to change. So it's very difficult to change out of success. In fact, I can't think I've worked with a business whoever's done that. Change normally comes out of crisis or things going wrong, so there's a real dilemma there. What about your sales and marketing? I mean, is that, as it stands right now, is that good enough as it stands to get you to that? Secondly, what makes it difficult for them to change, I think, is that he don't really value some of the things that Amanda does, like process and systems and procedures. It's like it's another world, really. He doesn't sort of see that, so he doesn't value that. What we're saying is we don't think sales and marketing is going to be an issue. What about management capability, depth of management team, supervisors and things like that? So just looking at the management, not the technical guys.
I think that's an issue.
Is it? The real challenge in a business like this is, as it grows, how can it maintain its entrepreneurial spirit and energy and focus, but at the same time develop more consistency around systems, people and capability to enable it to achieve its longer term goals, and particularly for Neil to extract himself from it. He's in the entrepreneur's dilemma. The guy who starts the business is usually not the person to manage it, so he's in that dilemma now, and if he's here for 2 days a week, that's all. No wonder there's a leadership vacuum and people are not quite sure what to do.
I enjoyed it, yeah. I thought Dave was very informative. He had a lot of different spins on a lot of different parts of business. I got a lot out of it myself from the point of view of when I came into the challenge, I had one perception of how it was going to be, and what's actually come out of it at the end of it is not what I thought at the beginning, if that explains it correctly.
So what does this business need to do to put it in position and shape to be able to do that in 3 to 5 years?
I didn't know what to expect, to be fair, but I thought it was actually quite invaluable because I think David can maybe help us see where the issues are within the company, especially around lines of communication, and might not be a big issue now, but potentially could be quite critical as we grow larger. So I'm hoping that he can help us with the challenge of sorting that out, really.
You know, I think we had a good discussion there, and I certainly learnt a lot more about your business. I mean, I think one of the challenges here is that you have been highly successful, and you're an entrepreneur. And one of the problems when you're highly successful as an entrepreneur is it's kind of difficult to see things that you need to do because of the success. It's always easier out of if things are struggling to go, well, we need to do something, you know what I mean? So I think that's a real issue.
What I originally thought was that we would have some kind of business strategy put in place by Dave that would guide us through the next 3 to 5 years. I've realised that we don't necessarily need that. We need something more on the communication side of the business. Not so much a strategy to get bigger, but just communicate better, and that will guide us forward naturally.
And the challenge in a growing business like yours, I think, is how do I maintain that entrepreneurial flair and energy amongst the guys, but at the same time get a bit more consistency around, so we don't get cracks appearing, we don't get, lack of resources, we don't get things happening because we haven't communicated, or things are going, people haven't got a clear understanding of what the priorities are. So I think that's the kind of challenge, and I'll be looking forward to working with you on it over the next 6 months, and I suppose in 6 months' time it'll be interesting to see where we end up. So I think the challenge here is, can we help them develop systems, processes and capability without overdoing it in a way that Neil finds acceptable? I think it's a big question. I would put it at less than 20%, the chances of success on this one, but we'll see how we go.